Okay, hi, welcome everybody to Career Strategies for 2025. I am Sofian and we also have
Shuyi.
this is episode one of perhaps a series of episodes that we're about to record, and we're going to talk about what are the tactics and strategies to advance your career. Is that right, Shui?
Yes, very exciting.
Very exciting. This is the first time we're collaborating on something together.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we first met face to face, but we've been following each other's work for a while on social media.
Correct. And then when we first met, I thought that we hit it off very well. I felt like I almost knew you already before through following your work. And so this collab is almost felt very natural, right? Felt like the most natural next step.
Likewise, yeah, I
Yeah,
felt that I've been reading your frameworks on LinkedIn
yeah.
because she does a lot of frameworks on career, on strengths, and we're going to dive into that. So I think it's a natural progression. Exactly,
Correct,
exactly.
correct.
That's why I'm very excited today because we are now, today's the 30th of July as a date of today's recording, and it's the year 2025. So much has changed. The landscape for career has never been more confusing, convoluted,
Yeah.
uncertain. So I think it's high time that we collaborate. Obviously, you are going to come from your expertise of doing Strengths Finder, and I would love to find out a lot more about a lot more frameworks that you know. I'll come in from the communication, from the strategic perspective, from how to get buy-in, how to get sales, how to negotiate. So there's a lot that we can riff off, and I'm very excited to go into the first question. What's the first question that we have, Shui?
Okay, so the first question we're going to explore is something I hear a lot actually, which is when is a good time to change my career?
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, when is a good time to change my career? When
Yeah.
you first hear of this question, what comes to mind for you, Shui, from your perspective?
Yeah, this because I actually deal with a lot of like mid-career professionals who are, they say they're in like a midlife crisis, and I always tell them actually it's not a midlife crisis. It's just I call it a midlife transformation. I like to reframe it as that. But I think what people are really asking when they're asking when is a good time to change my career is that something is feeling off.
Mm,
Something is like misaligned. And so instead of asking when is a good time to change my career, I think is to understand like what is really not working at this point. And so to do that, I like to also suggest like what are the three main areas where you are feeling misaligned and off. So there are three main areas, which is like your head, which is like your mind, your heart, and then your body. Right, these three areas that can be possibly be misaligned. So for the head and the mind, one of the things you should be asking yourself is, firstly, are you learning and growing in your own career? Do you feel like you are learning new things? Or do you feel like you are doing the same thing but repeating the same thing every year like 10 times, right? If let's say instead of 10 years experience, you're doing the same task like 10 times over. That's not really growing. The second thing you want to look at is like I thought about it's like your heart. Your heart is really about like your emotions. So some of the signs to look out for is like, do you feel like you are feeling very frustrated? Do you feel like you're always complaining about the people at work, the processes, the politics, and that's like getting into you, and that's where you feel like that. Because when you're feeling when it's there's a conflict with your heart and emotions, it often shows that there's a misalignment in values. That what you believe is important is not being fulfilled at work, right? So that's an area to look at. And then thirdly is the most obvious one, which is like the body. And that's where your health is. So for me, one of my symptoms that came up when I was having a burnout was I was falling sick very often. It didn't used to be like that, but I was falling sick very often. I was feeling very tired. Do you feel tired when you go home? Do you feel very drained and you have like no energy to do other things? So those are like physical sensations in your body that is telling you that, hey, something is off. You gotta look into it, right? Look into it. These are like red flags. Have you ever what have you noticed, Sofian, about these? Do these resonate?
yeah, when I hear what you said about the head, the heart, and the
Heart,
body,
body, yeah.
I resonate a lot with it. when you said, okay, how's your body responding? What is your nervous system telling you? Are you falling sick? I think it makes a lot of sense because sometimes we're in jobs and we're falling sick almost every other day. And then maybe sometimes we give an excuse or we give a reason that, oh, I just need to take better care of my health.
Or I caught something and then I need
Yeah, but maybe the job is not serving your truest purpose. Your body's trying to tell you something, right?
Yes, I mean, like even stress is such a, we all have faced stress in our work. And I think sometimes the stress has like accumulated to a point where it may eventually manifests, right, itself into like physical symptoms. And that's where it's too late already lah. When you reach that point, it's already too late that it has manifested physically. And so we want to avoid going down with reaching to that point where it becomes physical.
Yeah.
Actually, I find it starts with the mental, right? The mind and the emotions. Those are like the first signs.
That makes a lot of sense. I read a book by Dr. Gabo Mate. I'm sure our listeners are very familiar, right? And the book was how stress and prolonged exposure to stress would cause certain biochemical reactions in your body to the point where it sometimes even creates autoimmune diseases. And this is from his book. But we kind of pass over stress as this arbitrary force, but it does have an impact on our body, our internal functions. And I think the lesson I'm getting at when I hear what you're saying, Shuyi, is to listen to your body.
Yeah.
That your body and intuition is a very important part of figuring out your formula for your career.
Yeah. It's the gut, the intuition tells you whether you're going on the right path or something needs to change. And you want to hear more from you, but I want to just put a last note before I forget, is that sometimes when things about career change, people think, oh, I need to like completely change go into something new. And sometimes it's really not there. Sometimes it could be just have a conversation with your manager, right? On how can I job craft and adjust my work to do more of what I'm good at, and in fact will lead to better outcomes. How can or maybe I need to change company or change role, but that not necessarily change the whole industry altogether. So there are many different degrees to career changes, and it's not necessarily you need to like completely overhaul and throw everything just because you think something's not working. So just want to put it.
I mean, I want to go back to the question that you asked, which is when is a good time to change my career, right? When?
Yeah.
So it's the dimension of time, right? I think there's a dimension of time which is related to a trigger. So what prompted that question in the first place, right? Was it how your boss spoke to you? Was it because it was a last straw? You're doing two jobs, being no increase in pay. Was it because you saw your colleagues getting promoted? So what is the prompt? So I think it's important to identify the prompt, because then is this like a instantaneous reaction or is it a response? So I think it's important to be a bit discerning.
Yeah,
don't rush into it, right?
Yeah, don't rush it. And then is it a one-off thing? Because there's no ideal perfect day, right? There's no ideal perfect work condition sometimes. And is it a one-off thing or is it a recurring thing as well? I think there's something to look at. Whether it's been happening you've been thinking about this for the last 1 year, or is it like, is it a last week thing? And sometimes it's fine. Last week thing may not be.
Yeah, and here's a fun exercise, right? Yeah. Sometimes I like to draw, if I can draw over here using my air drawings. Imagine you're on a cliff. You're on this side of the cliff, and then you draw this side where there's another side of the cliff. So I'm here, I want to get to here.
Okay.
Right? So imagine you're here on side A of the cliff and you want to get to B. And what is in between A and B is the gap. And what consists of the gap is fear. There could be anxiety. There could be a lot of uncertainty, especially if you do not know what that other side of the cliff looks like.
Yeah.
So I think the first part, whenever I get to work with people, I always like to ask them, what does that other side look like in the first place? does it, like, to your point, does it necessarily mean a complete change? It could be change of environment, change of boss, change of department. Is it, transfer? Is it another portfolio? Is it reduce the workload? So what does the other side of the cliff look like? But beyond that is to confront. I think I want to raise this point. At the end of the day, changing, this idea of change, right? Sometimes it's to change to run away from something.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's to change to confront a decision that you have to make.
Yes.
So what do we have to confront? Do we have to confront the uncomfortable fact that we have to upskill? Do we have to confront the uncomfortable fact that the workplace does not, quote unquote, appreciate us anymore?
Yeah.
What is that to confront? I think this is something that I kind of want to riff off with you.
Yeah.
In your work as well. Like, what, in your experience, what are the common things that people tend to have to confront?
I think to understand, I love what you said about this, to confront, because confronting requires you to be very honest with yourself and to peel the layers like an onion, right? Peel the layers to the core of the issue. And I think for everybody it's different, but I think the important question is to ask, like, why is this important? Like, why is this triggering me? So, like, to your example just now, like, okay, I had a very big confrontational, disturbing conversation with my boss, for example, right? Or maybe that I didn't get a promotion, but it's like, then you have to ask yourself, like, why is this triggering me so much? Then it gets you thinking, like, why? Is it because not getting promoted proves like that I'm not worthy. And because of that, and why is not worthy important to me is because that I'm tying my work to my self-worth. So I think it's to peel that layer of, like, what's going on, and then what you might find, and what I'm seeing is that actually a lot of people are feeling this way, is that they want to feel impact at their work. Everybody wants to feel good at work, but sometimes the environment or their job right now doesn't allow them to feel that they are making an impact or a meaningful, or contributing in a meaningful way. And that gets people to, like, question, right? Okay, am I doing the right thing? Because I'm not seeing progress. I'm not having momentum or going anywhere. That's important to me.
I think that's a beautiful point, which is what, again, right? It goes back to the intent.
Yeah.
Like, what prompted, like, is it because of promotion or the lack of? I wanna bring another element to this, which is research done by Dr. Daniel Kahneman, the one who wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. He wrote that our brains has two systems of thinking. Essentially, system one is the more intuitive, rapid, emotional side of the brain.
Right.
And for example, if I were to ask you to complete the sentence, okay, you can try a short exercise.
Okay.
Bread and
butter.
Right? The fact that it's butter is, like, intuitive. System one.
Yes.
Right? And then there's another side of the brain, system two, which is more logical, more research-based. You're going to dive into the research. So when we decide on our career, because the question is, when is a good time to change? I think sometimes it's good to ask ourselves, which part of the brain are we using now? Is this system one more intuitive, more like, I don't know, I just get a sense that I'm not happy here? Or is it like system two? I've also thought about it. I've also weighed my options. So you get a sense of both sides of the coin.
Right? Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it. Thanks for sharing. So it's really like what I say is that when it comes to this kind of questions, we need to weigh it from both parts of the brain. Is that what you're saying? More of like a gut, but also a more intentional, deliberate kind of thoughtfulness to it.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. To your point, because you mentioned about head and heart, remember?
Yeah.
And most people segregate it as the heart is the one that's emotional.
Yeah.
The head is the one that's more like rational, logical.
Yeah.
But even research has shown, like Dr. Kahneman has shown, that even the neuroscience, the brain is shown that it responds to emotions and also to logic.
Yeah.
So even the heart itself is split into that logical and emotional.
Yeah.
So
all links.
Yeah, and it's amazing because like when we look at our talking points, like for example, like how do you know whether is it you're bored? Is it you feel drained in your job,
Yeah.
right? So again, I think what we are essentially saying is find out what is the prompt, what's the trigger,
Yeah.
and then use both sides, your head and your heart and your body,
Yeah.
read the clues. And then is it system one? Is it what very like intuitive? There's just something about it, or is it more of, oh, I've weighed my options, I've spoken to people, I've done my research.
Yeah.
So everything should come into play.
Yeah.
Do you think this kind of answers the question?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And I think yes, then you look at the frequency as well. How long has it been going on? Is this something that you really need to pay attention, or is it more of like a one-off? I think look at the frequency that's happening, and how long it has been. There's also I think a time factor also matters as well to see whether it's truly.
I think that's beautiful, Shuyi, because again, back to the dimension of time, right? Some people can stay in the same job for 10 years.
Yeah.
And the whole 10 years, they're like, oh yeah, I want to change jobs.
Then time passes again.
But 10 years, they're still in the same job, Shuyi.
Yeah.
Even though they say that I'm not happy in this job.
They tolerate.
What do you think is going on?
I know of people in my like inner circle who are they're waiting for the right thing to appear. They haven't found the right thing. And so they tolerate it. And I guess it's also comfort zone, right? Don't dare to venture out. And so they will tolerate until one day, wait for the one day that things break lah. And then push them out. But things are not that bad such that they will leave the comfort zone.
Wow. It's not enough to get them to do something about it.
Correct. Yeah. It's still like, still can tahan. It still can tolerate. Yes.
Can tahan and tolerate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sinister
that's
almost.
Dangerous.
It's dangerous, right? Like know you want to move, but the pay is stable or whatever reason that we can give, right?
Yeah.
And we stay anyway.
Yes.
Not that there's anything inherently wrong with staying, but ultimately, if we do want to decide for a career move that's the best for us, I think we need to weigh the different options that we have. And sometimes, like again, back to the point of confronting. If we know we are avoiding that confrontation with ourselves first and foremost, then it's a conversation that we need to have with ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we love to run away from the difficult conversations, and I'm speaking for myself. But I guess having an accountability partner helps. Having someone like a coach, a mentor, Shuyi meets a lot of people who are making that kind of pivot in their career. Having someone like that in your life to ask you the question, become your friend and partner, I think there's a lot of value to something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, having that a very objective sounding board really, really helps. Someone who is not skewed to a certain view, but help you to like really, consider all kinds of different perspectives and help you make a decision on when, and also when to leave your career. I think you need to think about, besides on what are the negative things, you need to think about like what are the missed opportunities of you staying put in that same spot, right? Of that job that you're unhappy with for 10 years, you keep saying you want to leave, but you haven't. By staying in that somewhere that you're not happy with, you're stagnating, you're not growing, every day that you're staying in this, you're having a missed opportunity of doing something else where you could be striving and that trajectory that you could have been on the longer that you're staying stuck here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Logical fallacy, right? Which is the opportunity cost, right? Like, okay, if had I moved, I think I would have been better, right? And it's true for some people for sure, right? On the flip side, if we were to push the boundaries a little bit of our conversation, for some people, not making the move might be the best decision. For some people, it's like there are so many shiny objects.
Yeah.
Like FOMO, right? Everybody's getting promoted. Everybody's changing jobs every 2 years.
Yeah.
How come I'm not doing anything? Oh no. And then go into like this frantic mode.
Yeah.
So then the decision comes from FOMO. It comes from fear of missing out. It comes from a different space. Would you say that?
Yes. A space of like scarcity and like, FOMO, you're right, like missing out. And then it almost like dims your energy as well. It brings, the way you're showing up also feels very different. It's like it's not of abundance kind of energy. I like to put it that way. When you are feeling like you're comparing and you're missing out and you're not getting this, you're not getting that, you're in this restrained space and you don't want to be that.
That's a very good point. Like, how do you know that the decision that you've come to terms with, like the eventual decision, is the one for you? Like, okay, you know what? I thought about it. This is it. You know, it's not like, to use your term, it's not coming from a space of scarcity, right? So, what's been your experience like? Like, how does one typically kind of realize or have this, certainty that, you know what? Yeah, this is the one. What's been your experience like?
For me, I've been so my background used to be in tech for like 15 years, and before I decided to switch to like coaching. It's a completely different field, and when a lot of people ask me about my big career switch, they say, "How do you know? How do you know that it's enough? Is the one that is the one and enough for you to leave a full-time paying job? And how do you know it will work?" Because I didn't do the side hustle thing. I just left completely. And then for me personally, my experience was that's why I can't emphasize the gut enough, the gut, heart, and mind. I feel like all three areas have to feel like they're aligned. It's like a hell yes kind of feeling. And if the mind says, okay, sorry, but have certain objections like, oh, but you don't have enough savings, you need to have financial stability, then I will address it, right? I will address and say, okay, how do I create financial stability during my transition? What is my backup plan if this doesn't work? So these are all like the cognitive objections that I would address. But once I do address, then like the mind will go ahead like a green light. So all three, like mind, heart, and gut has to give the green light, and actually everything feels good after that. And what we want to do is going to make sure that we address all the concerns for all three of it to feel good. Especially when you do like a big change like this, it has to feel good, and then we can like go pursue it with courage, right? And with conviction. To me, that's the only way to approach such drastic career transitions with courage and with joy, and not with fear, and not operating from fear.
Yeah. Fear is a big part of it. The word that's coming up for me as you're speaking, Shuyi, is the word peace.
Peace.
I think a lot of times when we're making big career moves, either promotion, either to move countries, sometimes it's hard to know because your mind knows maybe you got a pay increase, you get a promotion, but it's at the expense of entire family moving and relocating. It's at the expense of the peace of mind knowing that rent is taken care of here. It's less risky, so to speak. So, but ultimately, with everything said and done, do you get a sense of peace with your decision? And you know it. When you make a decision, you know it. I'm not saying, oh, kumbaya, everything's going to be perfect and it's a silver bullet when I decide I want to make a move or whatever, right? Make that career move.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, you will feel the sense of peace. Right? Having said that, again, I like to push the boundaries of what I say and challenge my own self. Right? Sometimes you gotta step outside of your comfort zone a little bit to truly feel that sense of peace, because sometimes we'll be so comfortable 10 years, for example, in one job, and then the opportunity comes and say, hey, Shuyi, if you take this job, you get a pay increase, but you're going to do something you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
How comfortable are you with that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that courage that you spoke about to deal with the uncertainty, I think it's a big part of it, because let's be honest, life won't be predictable most of the time. There will be the uncertainty, and for me, in my line of work, I deal with salespeople all the time. There's a lot of rejection, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it does feel like a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And I feel, to be honest with you, as I do sales and I work with salespeople, my experience is the more you get rejections, the more you deal with like people who say no to you, or like the more you do something you're not comfortable with, you expand, you evolve. And I think there is merit to doing something outside of peace as well.
Yeah, it strengthens you, right? Every rejection you have is like, it hardens you up, isn't it?
Oh man,
Is
I'm sure you know because we have to run businesses, right?
Yeah,
There's so
yeah.
many rejections we have to
I just find that business is like the best personal development course you can ever have. Besides parenting,
Yes.
but I think these two, hands down, like the best.
Hands out. Absolutely right. I think that's the mic drop statement. Business is the greatest personal development course. I mean, that's been our experience, both of us.
Yeah.
And also parenting, I agree. I'm a parent myself.
Yeah.
But having said that, I feel that despite it being a great vehicle, right? Business being such a great vehicle. I'm going a little bit off of topic, but I just want to mention this. I still feel that ultimately, whatever decision we make to push ourselves, for some people, it's not a decision you make as an individual.
Yeah.
I think ultimately we do have to ask ourselves, like, back to the question, when is a good time to change my career? My kids are not grown up yet.
Yeah.
They're not ready. I still need more attention with my kids. Or, I have elderly parents to take care of. Or I know some of my clients, I have autistic children, right? I can't relocate. So it's never a good time because I have to be here. So we live in a world where there is a structural societal aspect of it, whereby yes, I can be abundance mindset, but how about my dependents? How about the other roles I have to play? I think that's a good point that you raised. Yeah.
Yeah. And one exercise that I get my clients to do when they're navigating is, I think everybody can try, is to actually come up with their core values. And it essentially is identifying your top 5 non-negotiables, right? Top 5 non-negotiables. And this can change like in different seasons of your life. So for example, like for you, Sophia, you're like you have young kids, then and for me, young kids as well. So I tell myself that, yes, I'm in this season where my kids are young and I'm building a business. So I'm in the season of building a business, but not killing myself over it, because I do still want to have ample time with my family. So it's being very honest with myself that my family is important. Being able to build a business is important because it's an expression of my creativity. My health is very important. So coming up with these like 5 non-negotiables and designing your decisions around this. So from now, give you an example. So when it comes to my own like business decisions or career decisions, I will always go back to say, hey, does it honor my top 5 negotiables?
Wow.
If anything that takes me away from my family, like for like 1 week, actually 1 week is actually okay for people, like, but for me, I don't want to be away from my family for like 1 week, right? Even for like overseas. So it's definitely a no. I would say no to that. So knowing when you want to say yes, and also knowing that it's okay to make trade-offs if it doesn't honor your values. So I think it's really that, knowing what's important and being very clear.
Yeah, that's beautiful because it segues into the question 2 we are about to answer, which is, how do I figure out what I want?
What I want. Okay.
Right? And
Yes.
that's nice because you're talking about what are your non-negotiables, what are your core values, and I'm very curious to know, like, what are the common non-negotiables people need to think about when they're making their careers? Like, what's that process like to discover that in your experience, Shuyi?
So you have 2 kind of different exercises. One is I actually have a list of 80 different kind of like words.
Wow.
To just get people thinking of like what are the common core values, and they'll start to like choose 10, and then they will like remove 5, right? They'll do like a elimination exercise to get to like 5 like core words, because everybody has different core values. I wouldn't say there's like a top core value kind of thing. It's really something very deeply personal. So you can do that. There are a lot of online kind of like assessments to identify your core values. The second thing that is probably more fun to do, which I like to do, is like do a career timeline exercise. So have you done it before? A career timeline?
Or draw a straight line, horizontal
Draw a straight
line, and
line,
then map it out.
yeah. So what
Tell
you
me
do
more.
is draw a straight line, and then like the call it the y-axis is a happy face, and then like a sad face, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then what you do is you plot out all the jobs that you ever had in your life, even starting from like when you were doing part-time, those vacation jobs. And then you plot all the jobs, all the jobs that you are happy with, put it on top, and all the jobs that you hated or didn't find fulfilling, you put at the unhappy phase. So it's below the axis and above the axis, and you want to see patterns. What's common among all those that were the jobs that you were happy, and what were the common factors that of those jobs that you hated or disliked? And there will be patterns. So you might find that the jobs that I was really happy about were the times when I was interfacing with people, I was bringing people together. And those that were draining was when I was like, just at my desk, doing admin, for example. And what you want to do is look at those that were common those are your values. It could potentially be your values that you enjoy being with people. Your work needs to involve helping people, for example. Service is important. So these are kind of things that you want to look out for in your the next career, right? What are the nature of work that lights you up?
As you're speaking,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about possible comments people will make. We're like, yeah, in an ideal world, everybody would want to get everything in a checklist. What about, I want high pay, but I can't get a job at the industry that I'm trained in. I studied physics, but I can't be a marketer. So I want to address that before it comes up, which is I think ultimately there will be the checkboxes. And we're not saying here that you're going to check every single one of them. I think ultimately what we're trying to say here is that the compass, your inner compass, you got to kind of figure it out, clarify it for themselves. And it's not a zero-sum game. Either I get the job that I want or I'm miserable. All right? I think for some people, they're in transition. So for example, I know I want to be, for example, I want to go into corporate MNC, but I'm currently at an SME. And when they hear a lot of the self-help content out there, it says, hey, you should be living your ikigai, you should be doing what you're great at. But hey, what I love, it doesn't pay a lot. Like I have to work with founders who, some of them are into marketing, they like videos, so they start their own video agency, they start social media management, and it's what they enjoy, what they're relatively good at, but it doesn't necessarily check the box of maybe they are not working with a market that will pay them the most.
Yeah.
Maybe for some of them, they get but the agency gives them the freedom, the autonomy to be with the family, to decide what time to wake up, to decide whether I want to work on the weekends, or have the autonomy to not answer to a superior all the time.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it is a bit of a give and take. The nuance I want to mention before any comments come up is that sometimes you're not going for the pay necessarily, but the freedom of time.
Yeah.
Right. And I just want to mention this. Freedom, there are kind of three types of freedom, right? Freedom from, where you get to run away from people directing how your life should be. So, or something you're avoiding. Freedom of, like, it's a freedom of time to be with your kids, freedom of time to go and work out in the morning because you control your time now, or freedom of the decision to join an industry that you truly enjoy. And then freedom as a philosophy itself, a state of mind, right? So I think that conversation itself reminds me that it's not black white, it's not a silver bullet. There will be give and take. It's a nuanced conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. And you might even find that, or like giving your example just now, this particular, my passion does not pay, for example, but actually it's because you have not been exposed to that possibility yet. And you might find that through research and venturing out and doing, I call this like career experiments, right? Doing exploration, you might find that, actually there is a possibility to actually pursue my passion. And there are people who actually making money out of it as well. It's just that we have sometimes not been exposed to the possibility, and hence we don't think that it's possible. And I think part of like career exploration is to widen our horizon to see that yes, it actually can be done, right? That people who have done it we have seen it prove that it works, and then so we can, it is possible to have it for ourselves as well. Yeah. So I will give you an example, like for one of my clients, she says she wants to be an author, a writer, but she knows that, but there are only few authors who can make a lot of money. And it can't pay, being an author can't pay the bills because it's like but she likes writing. So, but there are authors out there. I mean, look at there's authors out there who truly who have best-selling books, right? And you need to play the game. If I want to go down the best-selling author route again, you need to go down the route of marketing. So you need to learn what the best is doing and we'll follow those strategies instead of shutting the whole door down. So it's being exposed.
Exactly. And sometimes it comes off as a reality check after they make the move.
They realize
a little bit too late. Sometimes you realize, oh no, I realize I have to play another
marketing.
game. So I want to raise this point of the question we have to ask ourselves as well before we make any major decision is, what is the game that we want to play?
Yeah. Are you willing to play that game or what it takes to succeed?
Yeah. Do you want to play
Do you want to play the game?
Do you want to play the game that someone is playing? And we are using the term game very loosely, but ultimately, for some people, the game means that they're going to be number one, they're going to build an agency. For some people, it's going to hit 7 figures, 8 figures. For some people, it's to sell their company and exit. For some people, the game means, oh, I just got more free time with my kids. At the same time, I'm earning a decent money. So what is that game that you want to play that you can win in?
Yeah, love that. It boils down to what's important to you, right? Yeah. What's the meaning of success to you?
Yeah, what does success mean?
So, so it's success.
Oh, the corner office means you're successful. Oh, you make partner at the law firm means you're successful.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to question all these terms.
Yeah.
Because it's thrown around so
vague.
much, right?
Yeah. Too vague.
Yeah. And we are saying this not as if we have figured everything out. We are also discovering. We are also in our own process. So I guess we can segue into the third question, which is, how do we identify our strengths? How do we find out our edge? Okay, so let's say you've defined that quote-unquote success, that game that you want to play. All right.
Yeah.
So how do I know what's my strength? How do I know how to play this game well and win? What's your take on that?
So I always say, like, there's a misconception that people have is that strengths are what you are good at. And I always say that it's more than that. Strengths are what gives you energy. Because the reality is that it's entirely possible that you are good at something.
Yeah.
But then you totally dread doing it.
Oh.
I don't know if you can think of something for yourself. But you are good at something because you've done it for years and years at your job, because your job expects you to do it. But truly, you find it dreading and it drains you. So the word strengths, like the word, what it means, it should strengthen you. It's like a muscle, right? You should feel good. You should feel strong when you do it. So how to identify your strengths? I have this method called the 4 E's.
Okay.
Okay, so the 4 E's is ease, energy, enjoyment, and excellence.
Wow. Let's repeat that one more time. So
Ease, energy, enjoyment, and excellence.
Okay.
Okay.
Could you explain a little bit?
Yeah. So ease is about what seems to come naturally to you. And you don't need to, you find yourself, you don't really need to prepare for a certain activity and relatively compared to your peers. So for example, Sophie, I know I can see your strength in like being able to talk off the cuff. Off the cuff, and you're very fluid in your communication, and I feel like that's coming a lot to me. Whereas somebody else who may not be so fluid, they might need to prepare their set of talking points and then be more rehearsed about it. But for you, Sophie, you're able to talk off the cuff, you're able to riff off the other person, right? So I feel like that may be something that comes easy to you.
Okay.
Comparatively to your peers or other people. The second one is energy. So this is about what gets you in flow state or so absorbed that time passes very fast.
Mm.
Yeah, so sometimes it's something that you find yourself going down the rabbit hole of like researching or like a particular task at work that you feel like, oh, so I mean, so fast, it's been half a day, it's gone by,
Wow.
right? That's also a sign of like energy.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Go on.
Yes.
Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And then the next one, the third E is enjoyment. So which part of work do you look forward to the most? Like,
Mm.
and one of the question I would ask is, imagine that I cleared off your calendar for the rest of the week. It's completely clear. Okay. And then you have like nothing to do. What's the one work activity that you will be jumping on to do out of your own free will?
Wow.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's also a signal of like anticipation
Mm.
and looking forward to. And does anything come to mind as you're thinking about this?
Yep, exactly. Like 3 a.m. Suddenly I'm thinking about this
Okay.
business idea. I'm messaging somebody, hey, I got an idea to create something.
So like ideas and like the business strategy,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then excellence is the last one. So excellence is more of like external indicators. So your strengths will should tell you like what do people compliment you for? Where have proof that you have shown excellence and success? So this is the easiest one to probably know because those are external feedback that you're getting. So these are the 4 E's. And what you want to do is after you're like listed down all the possible activities for these 4 E's, your zone of genius, which is like your itch, is when you can find a common one that cuts across these 4.
Wow.
And so when you're able to find that, which I'm sure you will too, everybody has, that is your itch. And that is when no one will have that aptitude, that enjoyment, that energy like you for this particular task, right? Or this particular activity, because that will allow you to go far. Because you have the energy, you have the stamina, you have the enjoyment to be able to do this for the long haul. And we talk about strengths, you want to be able to find work that allows you to do this for the long game, like the long haul, and it give you that confidence, right, of that mastery that you can aspire to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love the framework, guys. Please take down notes. Right, a great mnemonic, easy to remember, 4 E's.
What is?
But beyond that, I also want to address that perhaps in the audience there are some people who might not necessarily be in corporate. They are maybe founders, they are self-employed, right? Financial advisors, realtors. I also want to address that from a self-employed / entrepreneur perspective, if you are a self-employed or a founder, the question now becomes, okay, how do I know that my business or the angle that I'm at currently is something that will be a strength for my business? Because, for example, let's say you are, let's say for lack of an example, you're a financial advisor. There are probably 20 to 40,000 financial advisors in Singapore, the last time I checked. How do you differentiate yourself from all the other financial advisors in the market? And in relation to the question, which is how to identify your strengths and find your edge, in my point of view, I think it's about differentiation. Because, okay, sure, now I've transitioned into the job, quote unquote self-employed financial advisor or any other business role, but how do I compete, right? So one very good way to do it is to create your value proposition statement. So a simple one would be something like, I help business owners retire at 45 with $1 million and above in their account, so that they have a peace of mind. Right? So just trying to clarify what is it in one statement that you do for the person that you're serving. And I think because we are talking about strengths, I think it's important that business owners, founders, and even self-employed professionals have such a statement so that we clarify how we help. Because then you can compete. If you don't codify how you help somebody, it's difficult to compete, it's difficult to stand out, and it's difficult for you to tell your client or prospect that, hey, we do things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's very important, like you said, to codify it and put it into one statement, because I've seen value proposition statements that's like too masked in like long paragraphs, and like it's hard to know like what are you trying to say here, like what's the message. And so I would like to hear from like your based on your experience of friend, what are your tips to guide people to find out their value proposition, to get to that value proposition statement that differentiates.
Yeah. I think a large part of it is first to ask yourself, what is the market that you want to play in? Because the market forces will determine a lot in your business. So, for example, if you're going to sell hot dogs to a stadium full of hungry people versus you're going to sell hot dogs to a stadium full of people who are full, you're not going to be successful because people are not going to buy. So you got to go to a market that you know is hungry, right? So you could do some studies, so on and so forth. So first one, what is the market? I think number two is you need to know, in relation to the market also, is your audience. Which segment of the market? Yeah, I wanna work with, for example, let's say in your career, I want to go into a marketing agency. I want to be a marketer. Okay, which segment of marketing do you want? Do you want to do marketing for B2B, B2C? Do you want to do marketing? So which segment? It's good to identify the audience. So just now was the market. Then specifically, who is the audience that you want to talk to? If you're a realtor or financial advisor, you want to focus on business owners, you want to focus on newlyweds or couples, right? What is that? So besides the audience, I think another part of the value proposition would be, what is your methodology? What's your unique methodology to help them get there, right? And the reason why I say this, as I work with founders and even business owners, I realize that in order for us to be a professional, we need to have a unique methodology to get there, right? And that could be your own framework that you come up with. That could be an acronym. It could be a quadrant. So that means framework out there. Right? So a unique methodology. And I think ultimately you also need to, what we call in sales, sell the vacation. The example I can give you is, Shuyi, if you were to buy a plane ticket, you would not want the person to tell you, you know what, Shuyi? You're going to have to go through customs. You're going to have to squeeze through the queue, the line. You're going to have to squeeze through the narrow aisles. And then you're going to have a seat. You're going to sit beside somebody who is going to take up a lot of space. And then you're going to go to a destination. You're not going to be interested in that. You just want to know, by the time you reach Bali or Maldives, you're going to be sitting down, lying down, enjoying the blue ocean, the waters, drinking your whatever, right? So sell the vacation. Ultimately, what is the last part, which is, what's the outcome you give to the person? Peace of mind, save time, save cost, to become more appreciated in the market, for example. So that's kind of the gist of your value proposition statement.
I love it. The market, the segment, the unique methodology, and like the outcome. And of course I am just thinking that there'll be people who like are as curious as I am about this, but how do you decide? There's this question about finding your niche, right? Finding your niche. And how do you decide your market? Like there can be, let's say, 5 options that you might shortlist, like who you serve, but do you have like best practice or tips on how does one decide about niche, or do you believe in niching?
How long do you have? It's a debate. It's a debate. I understand that when we started, we talked about career moves and progression. Now we're on the topic of identifying strengths in relation to people who maybe they moved into a self-employed role, right? That's why we're here in this topic, right? But we'll get back to the corporate soon. Don't worry, guys. How do you decide on your niche? There are many schools of thought, right? I subscribe to the school of thought where you don't know your niche. I subscribe to the school of thought whereby I believe it's about doing all the work first. Some people will tell you got to niche down early, but how do I niche down early?
I agree.
I've not explored the dimensionality, the scope of work that I can do. And then I don't know which segment of the market will respond the best to me. It seems like you resonate here, right?
I do. Yeah. Yes.
So we don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. So there's in that framework, there's the unconscious incompetence. Right? You don't know
what you don't know. Correct. And then I think that's why I also the concept of like experiments and trying, especially when you're asking the question of, I don't know, how do I know what I want? If you are in this like completely clueless zone, like you really don't know. And then, so this is really where you need to try, right? Try and follow your curiosities and like do something, get feedback. And then so you get these data points on what's working and how, how's the market responding. And then you can make your informed decision, whether it's to identify your niche or your career direction. I believe everything is about like collecting data points. And then you're able to make like better informed decisions on when to like narrow down your focus. Until then, it's almost like throwing the ball in the dark where you
Exactly.
don't
And
know where to
having
hit.
said that, we're not saying that you don't plan or strategize, because a simple way to define strategy is to choose what to say no to. So you're not going to say yes to this market. You're not going to say yes to this avatar. So yes, you do upstream strategy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Shuyi, I think we're both in agreement. You're going to iterate.
Yeah, it's an
You're gonna
iterative process.
experiment.
Exactly.
You're
It's
gonna refine.
always,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
I just want to take a stab at this again. I'm very sure that your LinkedIn headline has changed many times over the years.
Yes, guilty. Yeah. Experimenting, yeah, it's changing.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And I think it's really, there's no fixed. I've learned, I used to be so hard up. Oh, if I change now, will people think I'm like flaking? Actually, no one is really looking. And you're in this experimental mode, embrace the experimental mode. And it's just, everyone's trying new things. Like even OpenAI is all trying, all the successful entrepreneurs, we know they're always trying and experimenting. No one really knows. That's how we get feedback, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a valid concern, because there's opportunity cost, there's money involved, there's spend so much time down the road, and then sunk cost fallacy. Oh no, I shouldn't quit. I spent so much time and money here. We get it, right? We get it. It's not that we are idealists, like airy fairy, right? But I think ultimately what we're trying to say is that this spirit of experimentation and iteration is a national conversation, actually. I think the government, I think as a nation, we want to inspire more the daring to experiment, to try, to explore. And I think it's a form of privilege, but it is to the benefit and to the upside of any company to have a small group of people who are going to experiment and just try things out.
Yeah. The important part of experiments, I want to also add, is that after you, let's say you did a little engagement with someone, or you talk to five people who are in the role that you are thinking of.
Yeah.
So these are all considered experiments. The important part after that, after you're doing all these experiments, is the reflection point, which is important, which is like, well, did I enjoy it? What have I learned? And am I willing to be good at it? And will I be excited to be good at it? So these are like some of like the questions that I feel people need to ask themselves, so that they know what to take away from all these experiments, right? Just like how any scientist, in order for them to make that breakthrough or discovery, they're always learning from their failed experiments. I mean, I call it failed experiments, but each experiment is telling you something, a data point, and you want to be able to like use that to inform, your next move.
Yeah, and I love that, because a lot of self-help sometimes comes from data research, but ultimately, I think a different perspective of looking at like decision making and business is hypothesis in science. Like a scientist would be like, okay, if I am on caloric deficit for the next 1 month, I will lose weight. That's my hypothesis.
Okay.
I'm gonna test it out. Yeah. I'm going to be on caloric deficit for the whole month. And at the end of 1 month, did I actually...
Did it work? Yeah, did it work.
And there you go. Okay, so yeah. Right? Yeah. So I guess like on this conversation of how do we identify our strengths and find our edge, how do we craft, how do we find this zone of genius, so to speak, I think I love that we're talking about, it's not necessarily in project management, they have a topic called... traditional project management, and then there's like, which is what they call waterfall. Like you decide from the start, this is how it's gonna be. and then this is how the house will look like. But then now it's all about agility,
Agile,
agile
yes.
thinking. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I know what the market wants. I've asked them, I've checked, and I create that. I think they want a phone that has no buttons. And then you launch, and then they tell you what they like. And then, okay, actually they don't want this button. They want, you know what I mean? And then you go back and forth. So you run sprints. So moving from the traditional waterfall to like agility kind of mindset, I think it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a conversation.
Yeah, I love how this is going.
Amazing. I mean, let us know in the comments. I don't know if you guys like watching this. Let us know. I don't agree, Sofian. I don't agree, Shuyi. Okay, let's have a conversation. A thoughtful conversation in the comments. Okay,
Yeah.
we're very open to talking about it. And then this is just episode 1. If you guys like it, we'll probably do another one and explore other areas of career. What do you think, Shuyi?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's about it. I think we'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys in the comments then.
Yeah. Okay.
All
See
right.
you guys.
See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye.